a lot of the drivers who are going to be partaking in this race earlier today, and no one seems confident in their ability to run the race. The only name that I've heard as a potential winner for today's event is Mr. Anderson in the Aston Martin, but nearly everybody I've talked to has said they have no confidence. Mr. Anderson, if those predictions come true, could walk out here with back-to-back victories in the first 4 races of the season. That would vault him directly into championship contention, and he was somebody that nobody was looking at as a title threat, but a lot of people seem to think that this track might be able to serve his driving style and his interests as we're preparing to get underway onto the circuit right now. If you remember, Mr. Anderson won last week's race at Sochi due to just not having time penalties compared to literally everyone else around him who had been significantly faster. He got off strategy, and despite being on much older tires for a large portion of the race, hung on to the front of the pack on merit to walk out with that victory, and it was a very, very interesting race, to say the least. The championship battles continue to be very, very interesting here. As real quickly, I'm going to go ahead and bring up the point standings as they are right now, assuming it's been properly updated. No, standings has still not been updated, so I have to apologize for that. Standings have not been updated yet. Alright, well, no standing updates. I guess I can't really give you any point standings change. But right now, the big contenders are Zola, Lowe, and Raptor when it comes to the championship thus far. Right now, Lowe is believed to be leading the championship point standings with Raptor just outside. This has not been a historically good circuit for either of them, though. So now the question is, who's going to be the first driver to get out onto the circuit here today? 18 cars for today's race. We only had 15 at Bahrain, then we moved up to 20 at Sochi. Now we're somewhere in the middle with 18 cars today. Earlier today was the Dev race. A very interesting scenario there, because in the Dev race, it looked like there would only be 12 drivers running, and then literally at the last minute, we ended up expanding the field to 15 drivers. But because of the way that XRL rules are, any field that has 13 or fewer drivers, you only run one short qualifying session instead of the normal set of sessions. So because of that, what ended up happening was you had 15 drivers all setting their lap times in one quick truncated 18-minute session. Ended up meaning that Dev got underway much sooner than anticipated, even though they had to do a full lobby restart, and that race ended well before, and the broadcast ended well before the normal 2-hour mark, and it was XRL Raptor who ended up doing the broadcasting jobs for that. So I do want to say good job to him and Ocean Line, who's co-broadcasting in that. I gotta listen to their broadcast for a little bit. Do want to say good job on picking that up and continuing there. But now the focus is on the XRL race. The first driver to get onto the circuit today right now is Elfin Starfish 19. Now, one thing I want to talk about in Singapore is that a big difficulty here isn't necessarily track cleanliness, although that can naturally catch you out if you're not very comfortable with the cars. One of the big issues here is just that there aren't very many active overtaking opportunities. Realistically, all the overtaking opportunities are in the first 6 corners. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, in the first 6 corners, and the 2 DRS zones are on the front stretch, and the DRS zone that is on the exit of Sector 1. That's basically it. For the rest of the circuit, you're basically following everyone else. The only other way you're going to get by other people is if somebody ahead makes a massive mistake in a corner that's wide enough that you can sneak through. We saw in the Dev race earlier, there was an AI car that was disconnected, and one of the Ferraris that were behind it tried to just mosey through, thinking that it would be able to get through. The track was not wide enough, ended up causing a miniature stack up there, and the same thing had happened on several other occasions as well in the Dev race. So just, let's just say, it's very difficult to overtake even if the person ahead is way off pace. And because the circuit is so tight in a lot of areas and walls are a big issue here, it is hard to get long enough green flag runs that the DRS is enabled. And you almost need DRS just to be able to make overtakes at the end of the front stretch or at the end of the second DRS zone. So qualifying is going to be not necessarily everything, but a big element of the event today here. Zola has pulled off circuit. He has actually had an accident already just as he was starting a flying lap in Sector 1, and the frustrating thing for Zola is that now he's going to have to drag his McLaren around the entire field, around the entire track, just to get back into the pit lane to try and go again. Now, one other thing to take note of is that we have a new driver in the second McLaren. It used to be Collie Boy, well, it's no longer Collie Boy. That is now XRL Raptor. He was in the factory Mercedes offering. However, complaints had been made after the second and third races that his speed was way above what the Mercedes camp was supposed to be with, because again, in XRL, the slowest drivers are supposed to be in the fastest cars, the fastest drivers are supposed to be in the slowest cars. In the end, the agreement was that yes, he should be moved down. I got a talk with Raptor before today's race about it. He said he had no worries whatsoever. He thinks he can keep putting up similar results in the McLaren that he can to the Mercedes. With that in mind also, Collie Boy has moved from the McLaren to the factory Mercedes team now. Also, on the other end of the spectrum, you have XRL Jacob and XRL Ultimate. No Haas driver has been able to finish a race this season in XRL. In the prior 3 races, we have had 6 Haas's, and none of them have been able to finish. And Collie Boy is out. Did he crash out? Yes, Collie Boy has crashed out. Not only has he crashed out, but it happened right there. There's BCN's got by, Raptor's game by, but it's not BCN, that was Flavor actually. But it's chaos there in Sector 2 as Collie Boy out early here. We're gonna try and get him into the party real quickly and hear what he has to say. So XRL Jacob's in the middle of a lap right now. Fastest time thus far, Elephant Starfish was a 139.037. Ollie has a as Jacob just barely touches the wall there. Ollie has a 39.177. Then Wilson and Anderson are in the 40s right now. That's one other issue with this circuit. It's very hard to find a section on the track where you can move aside cleanly and let someone else go by without utterly destroying your own line. Okay, coming into the party right now is Collie Boy. Collie, go ahead, include your audio. Accident there in Sector 2, what happened that took you out?
I clipped the curb coming into that corner and spun left. And just as I was coming into the corner, I've seen the McLaren sitting facing it as well, so I've flung the wheel further left to try and avoid it, hit the wall and obviously lost my wheels.
Alright, well I do want to ask this. You were in the McLaren seat before today. You've now been moved over to the Mercedes seat. Do you think that being moved into this car will give you a potential better run throughout the rest of this season?
I don't know, because I know it's just for testing just now. So I'm not sure if I'll keep the seat or move back, so just in case I see what happens. I prefer to be in the McLaren. What about today?
Do you think you can drag that Mercedes from the back to the front today?
Yeah, I can definitely get in the points.
Alright, well, I like to hear that confidence. I like to hear that confidence, and Collie Boy, I'm just going to be 100% honest, I will be watching you specifically then to see how far up you can drag that car through the field today.
Watch this, I probably won't get a start this time either. I'll get DSQ'd the same as last race.
I honestly would hope not. Oh, and there's a Red Bull that's off circuit. That's level 6 Beastian in almost the same part of the track that you went off now.
Seems to be a bit of trouble there, but I think it's that inside curb. A lot of people, if you clip that inside curb, it kind of throws the car off, so it's quite hard to keep control if you touch that inside curb.
Yeah, well now Beastian's knocked that entire front wing off trying to get away from there. So, alright, well, unless you have anything else to say, I will go ahead and let you go and work with your engineers to set out the strategy for the race.
Go, see you later.
Alright, so our second accident of quali has now happened, but BCN, well, a third actually, because also Zola had an incident, and BCN is now creeping around the circuit, trying to keep the car in mostly one piece. But this is XRL Zola. Zola has not been able to finish in the with a win or a second place yet, but he's been relatively consistent with his finishing positions. He said that he's not good at qualifying, and he qualifies at about the same pace he races at. So what we're going to do is we're going to ride on board with XRL Zola for a lap and see what it's like for a lap on board with the McLaren here at Singapore. They will get those cars despawned in time. Sorry, the audio was not back yet. But for Fiend and Mr. Wilson, they are both taken out in accidents. So we're going to try and get them both in here real quickly and see what happened. But a horrible, horrible accident. And that means that we now only have 15 cars left in Q1, so if everyone could get set a lap time, they'll be good, as Jacob now spins on his own. And Jacob backs it into the wall, as Zola's gonna sneak by. Alright, coming to the party right now is XRL Fiend. Fiend, you had a time in the 140s, but an accident in front of you that you could not avoid takes you out of qualifying. Go ahead and clear your audio. What happened from your perspective? What did you see, or not see for that matter?
Well, I'm about a tenth and a half up, give or take. And then I'm going round the corner and I just lose it on the exit and I spin and crash out. So there wasn't much really I could do, maybe. So I didn't really want to back out because I was up on my time, so I had to just hope for the best. And yeah. Although, before the start of my first lap, I spun on before the final corner, and so my tyres were a little bit warmer than they probably should have been.
Alright, so it seems like the scenario right now is just drivers having trouble keeping their cars out of the wall. So I just have to ask you, do you think you can rebound from this accident and bring the car up into the points in the race?
Of course. Top 3 guaranteed. No, I'm joking.
You're saying that you're not even starting in the top 15. Do you think you can get top 3?
Oh, guaranteed. But yeah,
alright.
I reckon top 10. Top 10 would be decent. If we can get top 5, then it's a bonus, but top 10 is what I'm aiming for.
Okay. One other question I just have. Before that accident, do you think you had pace to get into Q2?
I'm not sure, because my first time was a 40-0, and that was the slowest of all of them, so I'm not too sure about that. I think I would have improved on that lap by a tenth, but I would have had to come out again anyway, and with the rain coming, it's going to be awkward, I think. It would have been awkward, but it was on the edge.
Alright, well, we'll be looking forward to you trying to move your way up through the field later today here.
Thank you.
But it's a shame to see you out so early.
Yeah, no worries, thanks.
Last word from XRL Fiend. Mr. Wilson has elected not to go ahead and dump it and share his perspective. Zola retires in the pit lane, but we're going to go ahead and ride on board for a full lap with level 6 Beastian now to see what a lap is around this circuit with him. And hopefully we won't have to cut through to focus on someone else's travesty. And travesty for level 6 Beastian as he catches XRL Raptor, who is on a cooldown lap. And while he was able to get around him because Raptor moved out of the way, it's in the last few sections of the circuit, the last few corners here are very difficult. He tried pulling the power down, getting around the next corner, try and get going, and now he's invalidated that lap, and he's going to invalidate this lap as well. And with only 4 minutes left in the session, it's not looking good for BC's chances to even set a time before the clock is up. Young Maneuver and Ryan Hurricane are on outlaps right now, and we're going to ride on board with one of them to try and get you a full lap on board with somebody. Ultimate is also just invalidated a lap, but he's going to start another one. Stone Shuffle has invalidated the lap he's in the middle of now. So the question is not who is going to, if we're going to have 15, what 15 drivers are going to make it to Q2. Now the question is, will we even get all 15? There's a very strong possibility that somebody might not be even able to advance into Q2 just because they're not able to set a laps. Ryan Hurricane now comes across the line, is going to begin a flying lap. Javis John had the top time for a bit, but he's been displaced by his teammate XRL Low as the Ferraris 1-2 at the top of the timesheets right now. This is Young Maneuver on an outlap, about to start flying, so maybe third time's a charm. We're going to go ahead and ride on board with the Aston Martin for a lap to see what a lap is like, a full lap hopefully is like, on board with him. Alright, and now Young Maneuver sets a time of 140.119. Stone Shuffle, 141.290. As it is right now, Stone Shuffle's time is not fast enough to get him in. He needs to beat XRL Zola's time of 141.038. Same with Level 6 BC, and he has finally set a lap time of 141.465. This is their last lap attempts for both Stone Shuffle and Beastian. If not, Beastian might already be on a cooldown lap, but right now we may only see 13 drivers going into Q2. After Fiend had an accident, Mr. Worsen had no way to avoid and ended up crashing into him, and then Collie Boy had an accident of his own. Zola is in, but right now Stone Shuffle and Beastian are on the outside looking in. The question is, can either of them improve enough on this final time, because they will not get another lap after this. The fuel light is flashing for Stone Shuffle. And at the end of Sector 2, is Stone Shuffle up by any amount of time? No, he is down by 3 full seconds, so Stone Shuffle, it looks like, is not going to advance. So will Beastian be able to advance to the next round of qualifying? And the answer seems to be resounding no. He's almost 4 seconds now, so we're only going to see 13 drivers make it to the next round of qualifying here. So frustration and aggravation is going to be the name of the game, it seems, for multiple drivers who will not even get a serious chance to get into Q2. The accidents by Fiend and Mr. Worsen really upsetting the balance here as the session comes to an end. That will be it for the first round of qualifying, and it looks like it's going to be Low, Ultimate, Flavor, John, Elfin Starfish, Ollie, Jacob, Mr. Anderson, Ryan Hurricane, Raptor, Torpedo, Young Maneuver, and Extra Zola. They will be the only ones to advance to the next round of qualifying. And for Zola, extremely fortunate. Once he saw that 3 drivers DNF, he immediately finished the lap he was on, didn't care anything about the pace, and immediately retired so as to preserve tires and preserve the car and avoid the chance of another accident. But the driver's out, like I said. Collie Boy was not able to set a single time before crashing out. Level 6 BC and Stone Shuffle were just not fast enough. And then Worsen and Fiend involved in accidents after they set their times. It's about to get underway into the next round of qualifying. Q2, this is where what normally would be 15, but now it's only 13, are going to go and fight for the top 10 positions to get into Q3. And the drivers who have the top 10 fastest times at the end of this session are locked into their tire compounds for the start of the race itself. Just waiting for the track to get properly loaded now. Now, I will say this, and it was mentioned earlier, there is a threat, not a guarantee, but a threat of rain during either qualifying or the race itself. Obviously, Q2 won't matter much if the drivers believe that rain will fall at the start of the race, because then everyone's going to end up throwing on fresh intermediates, as XRL Ollie is going to be the first person to get out on track by the looks of it in the Alfa Romeo. Now we're seeing the Alpines of Ryan Hurricane and XR Torpedo moving onto the circuit. Farther back on the track, it looks like the Haas, I think that would be Ultimate, who is coming onto the circuit. There's also a Ferrari on the way out. The Aston Martin is sending one of their drivers out, as is the Red Bull. That would be Flavor, who's coming out as well. Right now, Softs have the advantage. Flavor, Young Maneuver, and Low have the mediums equipped right now. They're the only 3 to do so. Sebastian has now come out onto the circuit, and we spy Ultimate and Torpedo both on the way out onto the track right now. So in a very short period of time, this is going to be the 2 McLarens and Mr. Anderson. They will be the only ones who will not have taken to the track yet. 27.338 at the end of Sector 1. It looks like both a Ferrari and the Aston Martin, that would be Mr. Anderson, are both aborting, and they are coming right back into the pits now. The Ferrari that came back in was low. Davis John's still out on the racetrack right now. Still following Ollie as he's trying to be the first person to set a lap here in Q2 and do so on the soft tire compounds. But simply because of how long it takes to circle around here, there are only 15 minutes in Q2, and it takes you about a minute and 2/3 of another minute to get a single lap going. I'm going to be 100% honest, you're looking at about 3 minutes and 120 seconds. So you can convert that to about 5 minutes. It takes you about 5 minutes to get one serious lap in, and that's assuming you get out there immediately at the start. So yeah, I think most of these drivers are only going to get 3 attempts at best, and 2 is the more likely situation. And then when it comes to the final round qualifying itself, there is no way around it. Everyone's only going to get 2 shots, or you could choose to try to come out a little bit later and make one single shot when the track is relatively clear. But Ollie will set a time in the 139, so 139.054, as we see drivers now beginning to cross the line to try and beat him. Elfin Starfish beats it with the 138.850, and his teammate Ryan Hurricane now crosses with 139.230. McLaren of XRL Raptor is going to cross the line, but it's not a valid lap that he set. Young Maneuver has just gotten disqualified for apparently blocking the pit lane. So I'm not sure what's gone on there, but Zola was also held up in the process. So Young Maneuver unfairly kicked from Q2. Well, it may not have been unfairly. We'll try and call him in and see what happened to understand what went wrong there. But Young Maneuver, Mr. Excitement, out early here in the second round of qualifying. So now there are only 12 drivers gunning for 10 positions, as Davis John goes to the top with a 138.358. The Haas of Ultimate baiting against multiple walls on the lap, but he doesn't care. He's still pumping it, and he invalidates in the final corner, and that doesn't only invalidate that lap, it's going to invalidate the following lap as well. Oh, and Lowe got into the wall there, but it looks like he'll be able to continue. XRL Flavor is the only driver thus far to have set a time on the mediums with a 139.976, but Raptor and Ultimate are both in the middle of laps, so the Ultimate's not valid. Raptors is, so we'll be able to get an idea as to how the medium tires really stack up against the softs. Like we say almost every time, you can pretty much make a drinking game out of it. Flavor, not really known for his qualifying prowess, more of someone who benefits in the race itself. So Raptor, who is much better in qualifying than he is in the race, he'll set a time of 139.421 on the mediums. So as it stands right now, everyone who set a time is in. Zola is on an outlap, about to start a flying one, and Lowe is back out on circuit. Zola crosses the line to begin his lap, but as we focus on Lowe, one of your main championship contenders, Alpine that's slow farther up the racetrack. I think that's XRL Torpedo, who's on a cooldown lap right now. Below will be the 10th driver to set a time in the session, assuming he doesn't invalidate in one of these last 3 corners here. And at the line, Lowe to the top, 137.836. So by far, that's the fastest of all the times we've seen today. Zola out on circuit, in the middle of his lap. Ultimate is in the pits right now. Can Zola bump Flavor out of the top 10. Yes, he does. He sets a time of 139.621. So as it stands right now, Torpedo with a 139.831 is on the bubble. Flavor is on the outside looking in. Torpedo is out on track, but he's down by 0.2 alone at the end of Sector 1. What about Sector 2? Now he's up, not by a lot, but he's up by 16 thousandths. That would be enough to put him in position where, although he wouldn't be over Zola, he'd just be a few hundredths behind him. If he can find a little bit more time here in Sector 3, he could jump up to 9th. Out of the final corner, does Torpedo go up? Yes, Torpedo jumps up to a 9th. He improves, and that was with a very, very poor first sector. So Torpedo, now with a 139.569, so everyone has now set time in the 139 range. Flavor is on an outlap, as is Ultimate. Ultimate's going to be really important to watch because he has not set a time yet in this session. He could be a big spanner in the works regarding Torpedo, Zola, and Raptor. As it stands right now, Zola is on the bubble, Flavor is on the outside looking in. And everyone, except Raptor, currently has the medium tire equipped on their car. Flavor set his best lap on the mediums, though he has abandoned that. He has gone to softs because the medium tire time is just not fast enough to get him into the next round of qualifying. He seems to think that he can fight in Q3 on actual merit. Who am I to doubt him? He's the one in the car, not me. XRL Jacob and Ryan Hurricane both on outlaps right now. And we still have about 5 minutes left in the session. So, although it does take a long time for a driver to get out there and get a lap going, we could still see Zola, Torpedo, and Flavor come into the pits, throw on new tires, and set one more lap, and that lap would be finishing just after the clock was up. Flavor and Ultimate, the two drivers on the outside looking in, both in the middle of laps right now. 3 more corners left for Flavor, now 2 more corners, now 1 more corner. And he will abort and come into the pits instead. And Raptor retires in pit lane, so he feels that his time on the medium will be enough to get him in. Ultimate, the one to watch right now. Will he be able to bump Torpedo out? Zola has improved up to a 139.510, and Ultimate invalidates in Sector 3. That was really late in this lap. And I'm thinking, not 100% sure if I'm seeing it right, but I might be seeing rain beginning to fall on the racetrack. And if that is the case, then that would be horrible for Flavor and Ultimate. They would not get it. If the track wettens up fast enough, they will not have any serious chance to advance to the next round of qualifying. Ultimate's pushing irregardless in the rain. The track is not wet yet, and there are still sections here where I do not see rain falling. I'm seeing rain primarily at the northern part of Sector 1 and at the last few corners of Sector 3. But nearly everyone else is retiring because they all feel that there is no point in going out there and turning more laps. They think that the rain is too heavy. Now the rain is very clear here in Sector 2. You can audibly see the splash the raindrops are making on the track. Ultimate, hoping against hope, fighting against fight to try and make it into Q2. Make it out of Q2 and into Q3. But the track is wetting up fast, and here you can actually see a sheen of water on the racetrack. Oh, and that's gonna be it. So for XRL Ultimate, for all intents and purposes, any chance that he had of making it into the next round of qualifying is over. He's struggling to get that Haas going. DRS has been officially disabled, so yep, so with that in mind, there is no way to go for Ultimate to go fast enough and fight as he spins again, so that seems to be it. With a minute and 41 seconds left, Ultimate spins again. Right now, the question is he even going to be able to make it to pit lane without destroying the car? He just has 3 more corners left to navigate. Now 2 more corners. Pit lane entrance right ahead. That will be it. That will be the end of qualifying for Ultimate. That will pretty much bring us to an end for qualifying here. So yep, Q2 coming to a earlier than normal end here. Gonna end a few seconds before normal by the looks of it, assuming Mr. Anderson realizes that he can advance to the next round. But gun maneuver with a disqualification. Flavor just not able to set a lap on the soft tires before the rain came. And Ultimate just not able to set any lap whatsoever. That ends up being what decides the event. They will not advance, but it's Torpedo, Zola, Raptor, Hurricane, Anderson, Starfish, Jacob, Ollie, Jabascon, and Lowe that will all advance. And if the start of the race is under dry conditions, Raptor may have an advantage on the medium tires. But once again, Ferrari at the top of the timesheets. Preparing to get underway here for Q3 as the top 10 will fight on what appears to be a damp, what will probably be a soaked track for final round qualifying. And a wet track here basically means that you're going to end up spending about 6 minutes trying to get a single lap in on the intermediate tires, and with no DRS to help you, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult. I think whoever gets out on track first, immediately right at the start, is going to be in the best position to try and fight for the pole position, assuming they don't have an accident. You can see movement. That's Ollie, who's already coming out of the pit lane, but he'll be cut in front of by... That is, I believe that's Elfin, it is Elfin Starfish, and the Williams is going to be the first one to get on track. Credit to the Williams team. They get both of their drivers into Q3. Now we see other drivers beginning to come onto the circuit. That's the Ferrari of XRL Lowe, who has merged onto the circuit. Now the only Haas that made it into Q3, XRL Jacob, he's coming onto the track. XRL Torpedo is on his way onto the circuit right now. The McLarens, Zola, and Raptor are coming out on track as well. John, Anderson, Torpedo are still in the pits. But as I say that, Jabez Down and Mr. Anderson are already migrating out to the track right now. But this man here, Elfin Starfish, is in a very good position. It is all clean ahead of him. As long as nothing goes wrong, he should be in a great position to set a lap. Torpedo now on the move out into the circuit. In just a few seconds, boys, every single driver in Q3 is going to be on track at the exact same time. No damage to XRL Jacob's car, but he did pull over a bit to let other drivers by as Starfish now begins his lap. Riding on board with Ollie just ahead of him, you can see Starfish. Low now crosses the line, and now we see Hurricane cross the line. Something must be wrong with Jacob because he is running extremely slowly right now in that Haas. But again, because I've got to talk with 3 different Haas drivers across the 3 prior races we've had, all 3 of them agree that the Haas machines are extremely unwieldy and almost impossible to drive all the way to the end of the race. We have seen a Haas victory at the very start of the season after a driver change after the initial driver, this man here, not this man here, but it was, who was it? Was it Ocean Line? I don't remember who it was, sadly. But the initial Haas driver had a massive accident in Q1 that caused him to start 20th, and the Haas only ended up winning afterwards, after most of the rest of the field got screwed over by yellow flags and strategy. Jacob does not seem very confident with that car, but he's not the only one having issues as Raptor completely off circuit there in Sector 2. No damage to the car, but it's invalidated the lap. Focus goes to Elephant Starfish. He's invalidated his lap. What about XRL Ollie? He is still valid and clean right now. He's still heckin' valid. Coming to the last 3 corners. Now the last 2 corners. Very, very stop and starting on the throttle, but he's coming to the last corner and coming across the line. He will set a time that everyone else will be gunning for. It's a 1:56.421. Now we look and see what the Ferraris can do. XRL Low, the second driver to come across the line. One of your main championship competitors, he'll go to the top with a 1:56.251. Now behind him, here comes the Williams of Ryan Hurricane, but it's only a 1:56.721. Now Zola comes to the line very cautiously out of the final corner, 1:57.451. Here comes Jacob. He's got a lot of clean track ahead of him. It will work in his favor. 1:56.656. Now we see the other Ferrari. This is James John coming out of the final corner. He'll come across the line with a 1:58.063. Not a very competitive time, to say the least. Raptors invalidated his lap, so the focus is on Anderson and Torpedo. Torpedo coming to the line as Raptor comes into the pits. Torpedo sets a 1:57.136. And now Mr. Anderson comes to the line. And in the Aston Martin, he'll sell 1:57.644. Raptor in the pits, repairing the car. Starfish going for another lap after invalidating his first one. The spread from the top to the bottom right now is about 1.8 seconds. Coming to the last 3 corners for Starfish. Was not able to keep it clean prior lap, but he's clean thus far. At the line, 1:57.851. So 9 of the 10 drivers have set times, and Raptor is now coming back out of the pit lane, and this will work out well for him, because everyone around him will be coming into the pits very shortly here, and he is equipped on the full wet weather tires. So Raptor seems to think that the track is getting farther and farther away from the drivers, and that running on full wets is the way to go. It's a bold strategy, Pat. Let's see how it plays out. He's the only one thus far to have done so. I'll be very interested to see if he's going to stick around for an entire lap on the full wets or not. and there's an instant there in turn 1, well, turn 3 actually, and that's Ryan Hurricane, who is on a second lap, and he has had a spin now, and now we see in the pits, Zola, the other McLaren driver, has elected to throw on wet weather tires. He has not yet come out of pit lane though. But Raptor may have set a precedence that everyone else will be following. 4 minutes left in the session. If you're going to get out onto the track and set another lap, you need to start moving onto the circuit now. Zola out of the pit box. So both McLaren drivers feel that the wet weather tires are the only way to go faster. Jabus John now has wet weather tires on as well, but he has not yet left his pit box. Does Raptor commit to the wets, or does he abort and come in? I think at this point, with only 3 minutes and 38 seconds left, you have to commit, even if you know it's slower. Raptor has not set a time yet in the session. Ryan on board with the McLaren driver. Was in the Mercedes all of last year. Got moved to the Red Bull for the preseason races for XRL, then moved back into the Mercedes for the points paint race for the first 3. Now he's been moved into the McLaren, and throughout every single car change, he's been relatively confident in his ability. What can he do now, though? Zola has the wets, as does Gaviscon and Jacob. So 4 drivers on the full wet tires trying to see what they can do here. Lowe is on an outlap, but he still has the intermediates equipped. Raptor also in a very unique position when it comes to tire choice at the start of the race. If the race itself starts dry, he will get a set of mediums rather than softs to start the event. The only one of the top 10 to be in that position. That's a spin, and that's Jacob, who has had an accident there. Front wing ripped off the car. Ollie retires. He feels that there's no need to come back onto the circuit. He'll be satisfied with his second, well, what is right now the second best time. Elfin Starfish has also equipped the wets. Ooh, and Raptor just noses in the wall just a little bit there. He's still going for it, though. 2 corners left, now 1 corner left. It's still legal. At the line, Raptor. It's only a 159.844. It's not even remotely competitive when it comes to lap times, though. That's the problem. Javis John now beginning his lap. Zola has already begun his lap as well. Zola is down by half a second. So the track is just that badly gone that even if you have wet weather tires, it's not going to matter. You're just not going to improve on times, frankly. I think we're looking at a scenario that unless James John or Starfish had a very poor first lap, I think that the times they already have on the board are the best times you're going to see. I don't think we're going to see any further improvements here. Zola has a 6th best time thus far in the session. Oh, and he very nearly spins out, coming onto the back straightaway there. Now he's swerving side to side, trying to get heat back into the tires. And considering that he's on a flying lap and with losing heat in the tires, I think that says more than enough about the condition of the racetrack right now. Well, the clock's ticking, and time's up. Over. Plow. Jacob, tires in the pits. Well, he's in the pits, and he's going to retire out of it shortly. Zola committing, but blows and completely misses the final corner. Doesn't even come close to making it. Ends up being down by 8 whole seconds on a lap. Starfish is only down by 3,000 at the end of Sector 1, so he might have something in there. But Jabez Dawn is down by an entire second at the end of Sector 2 alone. He aborts. He's actually having trouble making it properly into the pit lane entrance. So it's just Elf and Starfish right now. He's the only driver on circuit at the moment as in the middle of an active lap. He's up. Starfish is actually improved by 0.2 at the end of Sector 2. So if Starfish keeps this up, he might be able to jump Mr. Anderson on the timesheets. One more corner left for Starfish. Can he improve enough to move up to 7th on the grid? As the clock is over for Q3. And Starfish actually jumped up to 6th with a 157.281, so an incredible job on his part. But at the top, it is XRLO in the Ferrari, and he'll be starting the front row with another Ferrari-powered car. It will be the Alfa Romeo of XRL Ollie, then another Ferrari. Jacob in the Haas will start 3rd. Ryan Hurricane in the Williams will start 4th. Torpedo will split the 2 Williams. He'll be starting 5th with Elf and Starfish 6th. Zola will be starting 7th. Mr. Anderson 8th. Jabez now 9th. And XRL Raptor will be starting 10th. So right now, the question is just how much rain is going to be on the circuit? Is the track going to be dry in time for the race itself? So now it's just a roughly 4.5 minute wait until we get to the race itself. Just standing by right now until we get to the race itself. That should be getting underway in about 3.5 minutes. Should be getting underway here in about a minute's time right now. Should be going green any second now. I don't know why we're not seeing the countdown going. We see the clock ticking now, and we're going to get onto the circuit. Everyone will be starting on intermediate or wet tires. This will make for a very interesting race start here. No DRS, is all going to be driver ability and capitalizing on other mistakes here at Singapore as we load onto the circuit. Ferrari Power holds the top 3 spots, 5 lights, and we're underway here at Singapore. Who's going to get underway fastest? We'll have to run down to the line. We're all racing shuffling at the back, but it looks like Ollie is going to out-drag Lowe to the corner, but because of the line, he's going to have to brake early. Lowe just completely cuts the course altogether, doesn't even try to make it properly. The rest of the field navigates through the first 3 corners without too much issue, except for Flavor, who's around and into the wall. And he is not the only one. Starfish has had an accident on his own there, coming into the braking zone. And that's a virtual safety car. Everyone on intermediate tires, but we are on the virtual safety car now. After incidents for both XRL Flavor, Ryan Hurricane, and Elfin Starfish, 3 different spins in the first few corners alone. But the good news is, being as is a virtual safety car, we should be back under the green flag sooner rather than later. But at the front, Lowe didn't even bother trying to make turn 2 in the Ferrari. He just went right to the front. Could not even attempt to make the braking zone because Ollie had the preferred line under brakes. He's walked out of there with the current race lead. You should be seeing the field go green very shortly here. Flavor, something's happened to him. He has now lost the entire front wing off the car. This could end up being a very long day for him, and Ultimate has had a collision with Zola, apparently. Zola has apparently hit Ultimate under the safety car. The 2 Haas machines have found each other on the racetrack. And that's it, we are under green flag now. But at the back, another accident for Flavor. Is this going from bad to worse for him right now? Hurricane sneaks by Collie Boy there, and a large portion of the track you don't typically see overtaking happen at. Fiend is coming to the pits, as has Zola. Beastian has filtered up to 11th. Worsen, who didn't even make it out of Q3, is already up into the points paying positions in 10th. Right there behind Stone Shuffle. Shuffle slides out in the aerodynamic wake, a young maneuver that gives the other Alpha a chance. Neck and neck for 9th and 10th, going down the DRS straight. And Worsen is going to end up ahead of Stone Shuffle. Jumps on the brakes right in front of the AlphaTauri. And he's got the position. Oh, but he slides out just a little bit, putting the power down. It's not working out as well as I think as he wanted to. Meanwhile, Torpedo, who cut his way up into 3rd on the start, trying to hold 2 Haas's off from behind him. The rain seems to be lightening up just a little bit, but it's still intermediate focus at the moment. Ooh, Jacob really steps out wide. Here comes Ultimate with the move. Jacob's not having trouble putting power down. He'll go from fighting for third to trying to defend fifth now by the looks of it. So the Haas not happy at all here at Singapore. Sparks from his teammate just ahead as Lowe sets a time faster. Oh no! And that's Torpedo! He's into the wall! Too much front bite. The rear slid out on him, coming out of the final corner, and now he goes from third to fifth. All the pieces and parts are on the car, but considering how that happened, that does not spell good news for Torpedo, as Mr. Anderson and Davis Young now muster a charge against him. Ooh, Torpedo slides in front of Anderson, makes a little bit of contact. Now John is going to pull up alongside Anderson. There's a drag race going down the street. Takes in a single straight in the corner for Davis John, but he blows the braking zone, will lose the position immediately to Torpedo, holds side by side to him in the next corner, and Torpedo's into the wall. And there's wing damage on the car now, and it blocks the circuit for numerous others. Young Maneuver has to squeeze through, Mr. Worson has to squeeze through. Now Stone Shuffle wants to find a way through, and the DRS has been enabled. It is still raining on the circuit, but DRS has been enabled, and in the pits right now is Fiend, Zola, and Coley Boy. They have equipped some variant of dry tires, despite the fact that the track is very much wet right now. So this could get very interesting very quickly here. As Torpedo is now falling down to 10th, holding up Stone Shuffle, Raptor, and Ryan Hurricane behind. DRS has been enabled, and they're going to use it against him here, going down the straight. Flavor now into the pits to put on tires. Torpedo slides wide again. That lets Stone Shuffle pull up alongside. How hard does Torpedo fight to hold it? They make contact under braking. Torpedo now out of the points paying positions. He's now holding up Raptor, and that may give Ryan Hurricane a chance to muster a move for the 12th position. And Torpedo off circuit altogether. Ultimate pitting out of second position. And this now means that Ferrari in first and third, Ultimate and Jacob both have pitted, and they're electing to put on. They're going to serve a time penalty first, but they're electing to put on tires. But this is going to work out very poorly for the Haas's, because now both Haas drivers were stacked up in the pits. Jacob is going to potentially get dropped all the way out of the top 15 simply because of how long he had to wait for his teammate. And now there's a Williams that's in front of him who's in the pit lane as well. The Williams are double stacked, and that means that's going to go even worse for them now. So Jacob finally gets out of pit lane, but he's in 11th right now and might even fall further. No, looks like he'll be 11th because everyone behind him is pitting. So everyone not in the top 6 has pitted at this point in the race. The track is drying out. It looks like the rain has stopped. So for the top 6, Lowe, Ollie, John, Maneuver, Shuffle, Raptor, they are in the interesting scenario that they have wet weather tires on a relatively dry racetrack. There are still a few sprinkles that are falling on the circuit, but not enough to keep the track damp. This means that we may see Ultimate walk out of here with the race lead, depending on how long it takes Lowe to complete his stop. The real problem, though, is going to be for James John. He has no choice. He's going to have to pit now, but he is going to lose a bunch of time in the pits because the Ferraris have no choice but to double stack. As we change the intervals to leaders, and we'll now watch the top 6 all come into the pits. Is Ultimate close enough to the leaders to take the lead from Lowe once the Ferrari comes out of the pit lane. Lowe is in the pits, Ollie is in the pits, James John is in the pits. We're going to see Young Maneuver come in shortly. Lowe equips on the medium tire compounds, and he is already beginning to make the charge down the front straightaway. Ultimate's coming. Stone Shuffle, time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and there you are, Ultimate to the front now. As Lowe is going to walk out here with second, Ollie third, James John is going to end up coming out of there with fourth. Mr. Anderson is now actually it's going to be Mr. Anderson who picks up fourth. Elfin Starfish is going to pick up fifth. James John is going to have to hold on to sixth after Mr. Worsen. Jacob filters back into eighth. Ninth is Young Maneuver, and 10th is Stone Shuffle. Raptor in 11th. He's going to fall even farther behind than that, though. So it's not worked out well for the new McLaren driver. Look at this gaggle of cars right here. Stone Shuffle, Fiend, neck and neck. There will be DRS in Fiend's favor. Raptor is there ready to capitalize. Here comes Ryan Hurricane. He dives. He's going to make the move over Stone Shuffle. Shuffle loses 2 positions and gets a single straightaway. But at the front, it is now, once again, Ferrari power in the top 3 positions. Ultimate, Lowe, and Ollie. Lowe not really closing on Ultimate very much at the moment. And while you can still see a few sprinkles on the circuit, it is not enough to keep the track wet. Everyone has migrated to proper slick tires. As Ultimate now sets a 144. Lowe just does not seem to have what it takes to keep up right now on the timesheets. Top 4 all have medium tires, 5th through 7th all are on softs, and almost everyone from 8th to 14th are on mediums. Then Raptor is on softs, and then 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, they're all on soft tire compounds right now. So, very interesting scenario right now. Farther back, Jacob, Worsen has gone off circuit there, going towards turn 3, so he'll lose that position to Jacob. But watch this battle here, as Ryan Hurricane is within DRS striking distance of XRL Fiend. Williams versus Alpine. We've seen this battle play out several times already this season, as short, as young as this season has been. Hurricane has the DRS, and he's late on the ERS, but he's not close enough to make a move. So for now, he'll just hang out in the position. Farther back, Raptor behind Stone Shuffle and just ahead of Torpedo. He's going to try and be finding ways to move forward as Zola overtakes Beastian back there for 15th. Oh, and Ryan Hurricane with a massive accident. He's out. That's about a quarter of the way down the straight. I have to wonder what took Ryan Hurricane out so quickly, but he'll be the first DNF of the day, sadly. We're going to try and get him into the party and hear what happened from his perspective, but frustration on his part. Ultimate, faster again with a 144, but now Lowe betters that with a 143.7. James John now betters out with a 142.6, but he is using the advantage of DRS and draft from Elfin Starfish to set that kind of time. It's a Williams versus Ferrari battle for 5th. Young Maneuver overtakes Mr. Worsen as Worsen is coming to the pits. Can Baston get by Starfish on the straight here? He's got DRS, he's right in the draft. Where is he going to look? Starfish blocks, defends. John looks to the inside, under braking. Hard on the brakes, almost made contact. He has to pull out at the last possible moment, and Starfish will hold on to the position for just a little bit longer. Maneuver still trying to hold off Fiend, but this is the really interesting battle as Torpedo, Raptor, and Stone Shuffle are all fighting over what is basically a single point. Raptor has soft tires, Shuffle and Torpedo have mediums. So for right now, the advantage in this battle goes to Raptor, but as it goes on, I think that will change and go to Shuffle and Torpedo. As they activate DRS on the bridge straight there. Raptor looks to the inside, but he'll get cut off by Stone Shuffle. It's just too tight of a corner, goes side by side through. Raptor looks again for another position, but you can't make overtakes in this part of the circuit unless the person ahead is way off circuit or has a very damaged car and is willing to leave you the apex. You can see the nose of the McLaren sliding out when he's too close to the car ahead. Starfish defends against Gabe Baston and is going to hold on to his position for the moment. John is fighting back though. Going down the second DRS straight here. This time he looks to the inside, so he'll have the preferred line of choice. Going into the brakes, does the William have anything to fight back with? They make a little bit of contact and Starfish is into the wall. The entire front wing is yanked off the car in the process, and that's a virtual safety car. But the good news is he will be able to continue. He'll just have to make it around the entire circuit without further damaging the car. And for XRL Fiend, a little bit of frustration because he was just about to make a move on Young Maneuver when the VSC came out. Starfish struggling a lot to keep the Williams on track right now. The Ferrari Power now occupies 4 of the top 5 positions and 5 of the top 7. And that will inevitably change once Williams pits and Jacob inherits 6th. So the Ferrari-powered cars seem to be the way to go here. And I have to wonder if maybe, although the Ferrari is down on power on a straight, it might be working out that the Ferraris have better power application at the bottom end of the power band. So when you first put the foot to the floor, the throttle to the floor, they're able to maintain traction a bit better. As we see Elf and Starfish now come into the pits. Farther back, Zola, Torpedo, Raptor, and Stone Shuffle. It's turned into a 4-way fight for this position. Starfish will be in the pits for a little bit, so it is now 4 cars fighting for 2 points paint spots. Zola struggling to keep up right now, though. The soft tires seem to be fading just a little bit here for him. Oh, and that's a Haas! That's a Haas! That's your race leader! Ultimate has just had an accident. He is out of the race. And that is a full course safety car as your race leader, XR Ultimate, crashes out of the lead. The entire field will get bunched back up. And this is going to play havoc on the race now. And this puts XRLO back in the lead. And Ultimate crashes out of the lead of the race. If I was in Davis Jones' position, I would go ahead and jump in and throw on a different set of tires, possibly, because the softs aren't going to be super fast for a whole lot longer. But we're anticipating the top 3 will all stay out on the circuit. Does Davis Jones elect to pit? And John is going to have to pit when we come to the green, because he now has to serve a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car. One driver this does work out for is Collie Boy, and another one is Elfin Starfish. They both have fresh tires, and for Collie Boy, lucky for him, he will not have to worry about being a lap down, I believe. I think this will mean that he'll be able to stay on the lead lap. Torpedo now has a time penalty for track violations as the entire field is trying to get gathered up. There is one McLaren in the pits, and that is XRL Zola, who is coming in, and they're going to take off the soft tires and equip a set of mediums on that car. Starfish will overtake him on the track. Starfish had just put on a set of mediums after getting destroyed earlier, so this will slightly massage the torment of being involved in that accident earlier. Mr. Worsen also electing to come into the pits, and they will be taking off the soft tires, I'm guessing. He had extremely fresh soft tires, but they're going to take it off. Now, it looks like they have medium tires right now on the pit box for him. Holly Boy, he will stay out on the circuit. It's going to be a long time until Worsen and Collie Boy properly catch the back of the field. We're probably not going to go green until about lap 12 here. We're going to try one more time to get in contact with XRL Ultimate here. Started with 18 drivers, we are now down to 16, and we're only about a sixth of the way through this race here at Singapore. The first full course safety car, we've had 2 VSCs, but the first full course safety car of the day. Level 6 BCN back there in 11th is going to be the next driver who should catch to the field. Javis Khan serving his, I don't know if he's serving his drive-through now. No, they are going to service him. They're going to service the Ferrari in the pit box. And they will take off the soft tires and throw on a set of mediums. Problem is, because he waited so long to do that, he's going to drop there to 11th. Back there with BCN and Flavor. As BCN also elected to come into the pits. Flavor's still out there on a set of soft tires right now. That will promote Flavor up into 11th. Zola up into 12th, and Davis will fall to 13th now. The Mercedes of Collie Boy and the Alpha of Mr. Worsen still have yet to catch the back of the field. Heck, Flavor hasn't even caught the back of the field yet. We might not even go green until lap 13, I hate to say it. Alright, Flavor about to catch the back of the field now, and when he does, then the imperative goes to BC and Collie Boy and Worsen. Because this section of the circuit is very stop and starty, it'll be a little bit harder for them to properly catch the back. BCN not too far off. He's about one short straightaway away from Javis John at the moment. Alright, Collie Boy about 4 seconds out from the back of the field. Now a little less than that now, and then we'll go, the imperative afterwards will go to Mr. Worsen. So we might be able to see them go green this lap, coming to lap 12. There's the word, safety car in this lap. Lowe, in the lead, has absolutely gapped the field. Well, not gapped him, as he now starts slowing down. He's going to stack the entire grid up behind him. We could see penalties get awarded to drivers farther back, not being able to anticipate the slowing. There you are, Javis John, collision with level 6 BCN. That's a penalty for his teammate, but Lowe leads him to the green flag, and there's already a second. Oh, but he overtook the safety car coming to the green flag. He had to back out of it, and that let Ollie come right back up on him. Here comes Ollie to the inside of the Ferrari. They make contact, he's around, and into the inside wall. And Lowe also lost the position now to Mr. Anderson, as Anderson has now taken up the lead. Lowe falls to second, and he now has Jacob behind him, as Ollie has fallen to 14th. James John serving his drive-through penalty. BCN had to come in to repair damage, it seems. And Lowe timed timed that restart so well that it actually ended up hurting him. He had to back out to a not pass, and Elfin Starfish is now out of the race. With a big accident there on the straight. And that will be your third DNF of the day. No caution though, we are staying green for the moment. As we now try to reach out to Elfin Starfish and see what happened to him. Low, within a second of Mr. Anderson. Alright, coming into the party right now is Elfin Starfish. Starfish, go ahead and include your audio. Shame to see that your race ended, but first I want to say once again, great job on that lap that you pulled off at the end of Q3 in pouring rain. But what happened that took you out of the race here?
Well, Raptor was up in his mirrors. I was side by side with him, and he still turns right like I'm not there. And he just takes me, like I was side by side. I was up against the wall as possible, and I guess he just doesn't know in racing people if he does that, like, because, you know, I don't know what he wants me to do from there.
Fair point. You look like you were going to be in a good position. You had been fighting in the top 6 for the first several laps of the race. And then, although you were involved in an accident, the yellow flag came out and brought you right back up to the field. Did you think you had a chance of getting back up there to the podium positions?
Oh, definitely. I had the easy pace. I would have been on pole position. That's how much pace I had, but obviously I involved my lap. But I could have easily got to the podium. But like I said, when you're down in the midfield and you come against certain drivers, it's just impossible to get there sometimes.
Alright, it's a travesty to see this happen, so now I just have to ask, do you think you can rebound next week?
I think it's Japan's, and I'm really good at Japan, so yeah, I think so.
Alright, well, we'll be looking forward to that here. Game, a shame to see you out, but I cannot say enough. I was really impressed with the lap that you set at the end of Q3 there.
Thank you.
Alright, we now begin to turn our focus back onto the racetrack, and Anderson picked up the lead over Lowe after Lowe was way too primed on the start, but Lowe has come back into the fighting range of Mr. Anderson. We're about to see the top 2 go for the lead once again here. There are other battles going on the track, but frankly, in my opinion at least, this is the most interesting one. Anderson was one of the drivers that people were talking to me about before this race started, saying they were a potential winner for the race. Not a lot of people had confidence in Lowe, but Lowe's trying his best to prove them wrong. DRS has been enabled, so Lowe will have DRS against the Aston Martin as Fiend now gets a time penalty back there in 5th. Zola over Flavor. Trying to stay over Flavor at least. So all he has equipped the hard tires that will take him not to the end of the race, but through a good chunk of this race at least. Alright, this is going to be the move for a lead. What is Lowe going to do, and how will Anderson try to defend? Lowe dives to the inside. Anderson will take the more normal line, but there's no real fight that Anderson has unless he maintains and denies the inside to Lowe. He does, but Lowe is still fighting back. Now it goes to Lowe's favor in the following corner, and Anderson actually ends up ahead. Lowe had to hold back to not run the 2 of them into the wall. Anderson holds on to the lead for just a little bit longer here. Lowe in 2nd, still looking to strike on Anderson, but now Jacob is becoming the wild card in this, and there's a virtual safety car. There has been a stack up farther back in the grid, but I don't see any accident that would have warranted a safety car. Oh, there you are. Fiend has had an instant. Fiend has ripped off the entire front wing somewhere on the circuit, but now the entire top 4 are all on top of each other there. Timing of this VSC very interesting to say the least. But no one in the top 4 will elect to pit. Fiend has to pit, obviously. He has a damaged car, and Raptor is going to take off the soft tire He's going to take off the soft tires. The soft tires are lightning quick around here, but they also lose pace lightning fast as well. This will filter Mr. Worsen and Flavor back into the top 10 points paying positions now, though. And for Davis John, relatively good news because he gets a chance to close up to the back of the field just a bit and might be able to get ahead of either Raptor or Fiend here on the circuit, depending on how fast he's going down the straight. Yeah, he'll be able to overtake them both. And the green flag is coming back out here. Oh, and Lowe and Anderson have an accident! And the leaders all caught up on each other, coming to the green flag, and it was Jacob who capitalized and went right to the front. Anderson still ahead of Lowe, and now Yum Maneuver is in play. Lowe from first to third. Anderson makes no change, and Jacob is now once again a Haas leading this race. But we have only seen one Haas be able to finish a race thus far. Can Jacob break that? Oh, and Maneuver is into the wall now. And he's going to have to run wide to let other drivers by. There's significant front wing damage on that Aston Martin. He's going to fall all the way down to 8th, and he's going to fall even farther than that once he has to inevitably come in and repair the damage to that car. Torpedo now in position to launch a move against Stone Shuffle, but Jacob has opened up a 4-second gap on Mr. Anderson now. And Lowe is losing touch with Anderson as well. Is there damage on the lead Ferrari? Yes, there is. Lowe, when they went green, it was going in to turn 7, and he missed the braking zone, it looks like, and hit the wall and has damaged the car. So the man who has dominated the race today, XRL Lowe, at least dominated the first quarter of the race, is now dropped down into the 8th position. And we had, at one point in this race, 5 Ferrari-powered cars in the top 7 spots. Now, there is only 1 in the top 6 and only 2 in the top 7. My, how the tables turn. And the one who's leading right now was not even close to leading earlier today. Zola overtaking Torpedo there. This Collie Boy was under threat of going a lap down earlier, but that yellow flag significantly helped him out. And there's an issue with Lowe. Lowe is extremely slow coming onto the racetrack. Way off pace in the Ferrari. Oh, Torpedo's had an incident. Torpedo into the wall in the bridge section, and it very nearly is going to block the entire circuit there. He needs to get going sooner rather than later, and this will inevitably drop him out of the top 10 positions. This will be good for Davis, Don, Fiend, and Raptor for sure. As chaos and single car incidents have been the big factor of the race today. Oh, and there's another McLaren, and that's Raptor. Now Raptor has had an incident. No damage to the McLaren. He'll be able to continue, but he has not picked up a top 10 position yet. Torpedo goes off circuit to avoid compromising someone else's time there. As Collie Boy watches his former teammate Zola go after Stone Shuffle. Flavor now gets a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, but they will be taking the soft tires off that car. Under brakes, Zola on the inside Stone Shuffle, and Collie Boy's going to capitalize. Collie Boy's going to try and out-drag. He does out-drag the AlphaTauri, pulls right up behind his former teammate. Now Mr. Worsen, who was also under threat of potentially going a lap down earlier, he's now up there in the 6th position. Stone Shuffle there behind Collie Boy, wanting to get back by the Mercedes, but struggling to find a way how. Stone Shuffle slides out there, putting the power down. That gave Worsen A chance to make a move under braking. Does he get him? The answer is yes, he does. So now the question is, does Stone Shuffle have damage on the car that we can't see? It does not look like it. He should be able to continue at normal pace, but he is losing in positions and plummeting through the field right now. Of note, he is on relatively worn tires compared to everyone else around him, but that in itself surely couldn't explain all this struggling that he's having right now. John, 142.587 in 7th position. But he is 9 seconds out from 6th right now. He's basically running in his own, all on his own. As Collie Boy trying to muster a charge against his former teammate. Zola didn't exactly have kind words for Collie Boy, being very honest, saying that he believed that Collie Boy was one of the reasons McLaren was in a bad position when it came to the Manufacturers' Championship, because Zola had been the only one able to complete races. Well, now Collie Boy is in a different car, as looking to turn those words against the McLaren driver and try and get by him for position. He is all over the rear wing of that Mercedes-powered McLaren, but can't seem to figure out a way by right now. He elects not to go for the heavy braking maneuver in that Sector 2 to Sector 3 DRS zone. But you can see how the two of them are taking significantly different lines throughout most of these corners. Collie Boy loses a little bit of pace on the McLaren in Sector 3, but closes right back up with DRS. He should be in a great position to make a move against the McLaren in the next DRS zone. As farther back, Flavor is bringing a hard defense against Lowe right now. But in my opinion, at least, this is the more interesting battle. What can Zola do against Collie Boy? The answer is nothing. He'll hold the inside line and let the Mercedes go by on the outside. Neck and neck under braking. They make contact and Zola's around! Contact from his former teammate! And that's a full course safety car. Oh, but the full course safety car isn't for him. The full course safety car is for someone else. Who is that? Is that Beastian? That's Beastian! Beastian has had an accident on the circuit and is taking him out of the race, so the full course safety car is not for Zola, but Beastian, who has crashed out there and is nearly blocking the circuit. And that is not what Jacob or Anderson wanted to see. They were walking away from the field as it was standing. Well, Ollie is going to come into the pits here, and we're going to try and get Beastian in here and hear what he has to say. Ollie in a very good position. He'll have fresh tires coming to the green flag. Zola now gets a time penalty for track violations. Of the leaders, though, Jacob comes in, as does Mr. Anderson, but does anyone else near the front elect to pit or not? Alright, coming into the party right now is Level 6 Beastian. Beastian, go ahead and include your audio. Sadly, it looks like your charge up through the field did not work out. What happened out there? It's a travesty out there because it looked like you were in a position to fight 4 points if safety cars were to fall the right way to work out for your strategy. So now the only question I have to ask is, do you think you can rebound next week at Japan? Alright, well, thanks. I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in again and share your experiences here. It's a shame to have to talk to any driver twice in a day, much less someone like you, BCN, who has had, yes, lots of misfortune throughout your time in XRRL. Alright, well, once again, thank you and farewell as we now begin to turn our focus back to the racetrack. Circumstances have become very interesting. Your top three, Collie Boy, Mr. Worsen, and now Jabus John. But the top three are all on medium tires that have some wear on them. Jacob is fourth on fresh hards, Mr. Anderson fifth on fresh medium, Zola sixth on fresh hards. So I think with 41 laps to go, it's very clear that no one really knows what the best tire strategy is to take to the end of the race. Do you want to stick with hards and try to run hards all the way to the end of this race? Hope that there's a relatively late yellow flag to throw on a set of sauce. Do you want to go ahead and run mediums and then put on another set of mediums later on? Because everyone started this race on intermediates, no one has to worry about being on multiple tire compounds. Everyone, by default, has already made at least one tire compound switch. But I'm going to be 100% honest, I don't know which one's better, a medium or a hard to soft. Even at that, maybe even a medium to soft if there's enough laps of safety car in the latter bits of the race that will artificially extend the life of medium tires. Oh, what in the... Is Jacob coming in? Yes! Jacob has damaged the car under the safety... damaged the front wing under the safety car and is coming into the pits! So now he's out of the fight for the win, so now this promotes Mr. Anderson into fourth now. And the drivers ahead of Anderson all have more worn tires than he does. This will drop Jacob all the way back to 13th now. Also going to be interested to see if the entire field will be able to gather up under this safety car or not. Torpedo just now is caught in the back of the grid. As you see Raptor on fresh hards trying to rush up. Raptor probably is in a position where he's going to try and make these hards last to the end or as close to the end as possible. Then throw on sauce for a fast slap near the end. Right now, his biggest rival in the championship, Lowe, although Lowe has kind of hurt himself out of the lead of this race. Lowe is still well ahead of Raptor in position on and time on track. Ollie has now caught the back of the grid. Again, very good for him because he was fighting for a lead, went on a dive on Lowe, and Lowe cut him right off and spun him around, and that nearly trapped Ollie a lap down after he was trying to repair the damage to the car. Now he's back into play with relatively fresh tires. Jacob's now caught the back of the grid, and Flavor is just about to catch the back. Been involved in several accidents thus far, and got a time penalty earlier, but now that time penalty has been made invalid, and he has caught the back of the grid. Word is official, safety car will be coming in this lap on lap 22, so with 40 laps to go, Collie Boy needs to do what Lowe screwed up, and he needs to time going to the green flag well enough that he's not running the risk of overtaking the safety car. Coming to the green flag, an Aston Martin pace car is leading the factory Mercedes driver at the front of the grid. Collie Boy staying right there at the pace car. He's not really even letting the pace car pull away, and in the process, the entire field is not really gathered up or bunched up in any way. Alright, there we are. Collie Boy is going to shoot out of there like a cannon now. And there we are, green flag is underway, and Fiend, right at the start, Fiend with an accident. Coming to the green flag, Fiend with an accident, and already Worsen, James, Don, and Anderson are all fighting for position. Gonna try and get Fiend in here real quickly. Top four, all on top of each other right now. No real place to make a move here in Sector 2. Unless the driver ahead makes a big mistake. Wilson, big step out there. Now Davis John trying to launch against him. John to the outside, Wilson to the inside. Wilson defends, John backs out of it. Collie Boy trying to pull away from him just a little bit. Zola right there behind Mr. Anderson. Zola on the hards. John putting immense pressure on Mr. Wilson right now. Coming to the start-finish line. Collie Boy opening a little bit of a gap on second. John looks to the inside. Wilson just puts a small half defense, and John immediately backs out of it. No DRS yet. That won't come until the next lap. Top four all still very close, within about 1.5 seconds of each other. Zola seems to be losing pace with him just a little bit. Here comes John, dives to the inside. Neck and neck on the run down to the next corner. But he's going to have to back out of it because you can't run side by side through the following corner unless both parties are willing to give a lot. And they can't afford to because Anderson is there ready to capitalize. That ended up benefiting Collie Boy though. He now has a more than 1 second gap on Wilson. Right out the back of the Alpha that's currently in second. The entire field, basically, from 5th back to 11th, are all right on top of each other. And that will become very interesting once DRS starts kicking in. Low time penalty now. So this is where it gets interesting. What does Davis John do against Wilson? He will have DRS going down the following straight here. You see the rear wing open up on his car and the sticker of Anderson. Wilson defends the inside. Davis John to the outside. They make a little bit of contact. Neck and neck down the line. That's going to be Wilson on the outside. Mr. Anderson has to back out of it. He went for a late move and then immediately pulled out at the last minute. So he'll hold on to 4th for the moment. But Davis John now goes up into 2nd. Wilson falls to 3rd. Farther back, Stone Shuffle has slipped back to the 13th position from an accident he has had, and he will have to bring that car into the pits and put a new front wing on. Mr. Anderson against Mr. Wilson, not close enough to make a move, but Davis John has caught your leader, Collie Boy. Collie Boy was up the road by about 2 seconds, but made a mistake, and now the top 4 are all on top of each other once again. Davis John putting immense pressure on the Mercedes in the lead. Stone Shuffle into the wall again. He's not out of the race yet, though. But everyone from 10th on up is all right next to each other. And Collie Boy has to come into the pits. There must have been something damaged to the car. For Davis John, that's great, though, because he's able to utilize DRS down the straight. And he'll be able to go. Oh, Anderson to the inside of Wilson, and he's by him. Now the thing, though, is that Davis John is more than a second up the road, so Anderson doesn't have DRS to close on the lead Ferrari. Wilson will have the ability to use DRS to make a move back against him. Collie Boy into the pits. As they're fixing the car, they put on new soft tires on that machine as well. The top 3 continuing their fight. Worsen losing touch with the 2 leaders. Anderson, is he going to be close enough to get DRS on James John on the next DRS straight? The answer might be a yes. And he'll be able to use that to close in even more on the Ferrari. Anderson won last week at Sochi by getting off strategy and then keeping pace with the leaders and avoiding time penalties. That seems to be working out for him today as well, but we still have not yet crossed the race's halfway point. Things could still get really interesting. Anderson within striking distance now. He'll have DRS going down the straight. Will it be enough? He's still 6/10 out. Closing down now. 5/10, 4/10, but not close enough to make the move. But Zola is going to have the move made on him by Lowe. Lowe taking advantage of the soft tires, but those softs are about to fall off the cliff in the next few laps. Young Maneuver is in position to capitalize as well. Problem is, Lowe now is going to have to try and outrun Zola as quickly as he can, otherwise Zola will be able to use DRS back on the Ferrari. Worsen has completely fallen out of touch with the lead battle. Anderson still within striking distance of Jabus, but that's striking distance with an asterisk. He's really only in striking distance if Jabus John makes a mistake right now. The big benefit for Anderson, though, is that he is on fresher tires than John, and Anderson does not yet have time penalties. John does. As the battle for the lead continues through Sector 3, Zola trying to stay within a second of Lowe, but Lowe has now closed within a second of Mr. Worsen. So Worsen has completely fallen off pace as the tires are going away on him. And that will work out wonderfully for Lowe. He might be able to parlay that into an easy third place position and outrun the McLaren. XRL Flavor has had another accident back there in Sector 3. But the battle for a lead still is very much alive. Anderson closing in on James John again. But not enough to make a move by the time they get to the braking zone. As Lowe to the outside of Worsen, he'll get it. Oh, and that's Young Maneuver. He's out of the race now. That is a full course safety car as Young Maneuver knocked out. And now there are only 12 cars left, and this could end up making things interesting with tire strategy. This will promote Collie Boy into 11th and Stone Shuffle into 12th, and will give both of them a chance to catch the back of the grid. Collie Boy and Stone Shuffle on relatively fresh softs as well. For Lowe, this is going to be great, though, because he can take off those softs, throw on a set of hards that will last him maybe to the end of the race. But here's the thing, we still are not halfway through this race. Our two leaders will stay out. But Lowe will come in and ditch the soft tire compounds and will likely throw on a set of hards to the end. And it looks like Lowe is going to be the only person. Oh no, Jacob is going to pit as well. But it looks like Lowe might be the only person who was fighting for the win outright, or position himself to fight for the win. No, they're putting on another set of softs in the Ferrari camp. So for Jacob, what they're going to do for that team They're repairing the front wing damage that he's received, and they're putting on a new... No, they're not even going to change tires by the looks of it. They're just repairing the damage. Collie Boy will filter up into the 10th position just ahead of him. This also has put Flavor up into 8th and Raptor up into 7th position now. It'll be a while until the field's all properly gathered up. I don't see us going green until lap 30, honestly. Back of the field diving close to gathered up right now. So yeah, we're not going to go green for a little bit here. Alright, so Jacob coming into the pits again. I'm guessing now they're going to elect to take off the worn medium tires. So Chaos in the Haas team. As we look real quickly at the time penalties, Davisjon has 5 seconds of penalties against him. Worsen has 6, Zola has 3, Ollie has 6, Torpedo has 3, Raptor has 3, Lowe has 3, Collie Boy has 3, and neither Stone Shuffle, Jacob, Flavor, or Anderson have any right now. Stone Shuffle about 13 seconds out from the back of the grid, and Jacob another 4 seconds out. So we should be going green coming to lap 30, so just a tick before the race's halfway point. For the first time, though, today, Raptor is going to be ahead of Lowe on the racetrack. There is one guy, Flavor, behind them, but Lowe is on fresh, soft tires. Raptor, though, is on hards that will be able to go for a long time. I honestly would think that Raptor will, even though he's on worn hards, will probably not have to pit until after Lowe does. So, and when Raptor pits, he can probably elect to just throw on another set of softs. For Lowe, he's just been burning through these soft tire compounds. I don't know how many more sets he's going to have. Alright, so Davisjon leading the field to the green. Safety car officially coming in this lap. Mr. Anderson in second. What can he do to get by the Ferrari up front? It's going to be Mr. Worsen behind, but Worsen, just like Davisjon at the front, has very worn medium tires that are going to have to come off sooner rather than later. Zola is back there in fourth. He has hard tires that will last him not to the end of the race, but relatively close to it. Then it's Ollie and Torpedo with moderately worn medium tires, Raptor and Flavor with slightly worn hards, Lowe with fresh softs, and Collie Boy and Stone Shuffle with pretty fresh softs, Jacob back there with worn mediums and a new front wing. John backing up the field, but not nearly as much as Lowe did earlier. Coming to the green flag. And Worsen immediately loses pace with the drivers ahead. Zola looking for a potential move, but thinks better of it, though. Oh, but he makes a little bit of contact with Worsen, bumps him out of the way in 3, drag race down the straight. No DRS for the first just 2 laps after a restart, and that's Jacob who goes around back there in the back of the grid. Flavor falls down to a 10th now. Jacob, another damaged front wing. And Zola trying to muscle his way by Ollie, and it's not going to work out well. He's backwards, and it's his parking lot there. Torpedo involved as well, but Zola, it all goes from bad to worse for him. It's the second time he's damaged that car. Torpedo, is there damage on his Alpine? The answer is no. He got out of it lucky. Lowe now up there in 6th. Raptor has filtered up into 5th. He's still ahead of Lowe on the racetrack. How long is that going to last? Because Lowe has fresh, soft tires. And something's wrong with Raptor. The McLaren just kind of died on the straightaway. And the Ferrari just walked by him. That was weird. As now Collie begins to muster a charge. Two Alfa Romeos of Ollie and Wilson have found each other on the circuit, but both of them have completely lost touch again to the lead duo of Mr. Anderson and Javis Dawn. Anderson not going to be able to make a move this lap unless he's way faster than John, going to the braking of turn 7. Jacob, 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as he has to repair the damage again, as does Zola, who has to repair his own damage as well. This will filter them right out of the points-paying positions. The most active battle on track going on right here, as Lowe's just walked right by Raptor as Raptor came to a weird slow on one of the straights. Polyboy is there behind Raptor. Am I beginning to see rain on the racetrack? Indeed I am. It looks like rain is back in the area, ladies and gentlemen, and that could wreak havoc on the leaders. Anderson still within DRS range of James John, but he's going to have to make this overtake this lap before the track gets excessively wet. DRS has been enabled. Anderson is going to have one chance to get by the Ferrari. That might not even work. The track is wet. The track is already getting soaked. Raptor coming into the pits. Collie coming into the pits. Flavor coming into the pits. Torpedo coming in 5th. Stone Shovel coming in the pits. I imagine Jacob and Zola will as well. So everything gets turned on its head as the top 5 are out there on a soaked racetrack right now. Anderson, does he make a move? Lowe is out! Lowe is out! The man who has dominated the race, Lowe, has just had an accident on the straight. Safety car is out, and everything gets turned on its head. Lowe out of the race, and now Jameson, Anderson, Wilson, and Ollie are going to get filtered right to the back of the grid. Coming to the party right now is XRL Lowe. Lowe, go ahead and include your audio. You dominated the first 5th of this race, and you were fighting up to the pack fast. What happened that took you out there?
I just spun out, exiting, turn 3 I think it was. But yeah, no, I had some incidents on the tracks that aren't going to be very good for me. I was trying to fix my audio for the chat, my stream, and when I unpaused, I went right into Mr. Anderson. So I basically destroyed his race and mine. So I'm really sorry about that, but Other than that, yeah, the car was set up perfect for this race. I'm actually super disappointed right now. It's actually really tough to take in as how fast the car was. I had the car set up perfect for this track, so it is what it is. You know, we'll have to just try harder on the next race and see where we're at. But as of right now, it's back to the drawing boards.
All right, there is one other thing I have to ask real quickly. The rain, at least from our end in the broadcasting booth, it looked like it was perfectly dry. I saw a few sprinkles, and then within a minute, the entire track seemed to be soaked.
Exactly.
How quickly did the track get away from you?
Honestly, it was almost instant. By the finish line to turn 3, it was like, okay, and then right when I made turn 3, it just kicked out right there. There was nothing I could do about that. But, yeah, just super disappointed. Hopefully, Mr. Anderson has a good race and he can win it, because I kind of messed him up in the beginning, and I'm really sorry about that. And I definitely hurt Young maneuver. So yeah, I'm sorry about that, guys.
Actually, there is one other question I want to ask. Under one of the virtual safety cars, you were leading, holding off Anderson, and then coming to the green, all of a sudden you seemed to go off circuit and hit the wall, but we didn't catch it on camera. Did you just kind of like get caught off guard by going green then, or what happened?
No. Like I was saying, during that moment, I was in my start menu trying to fix the party chat, and then when I uncrossed, I went right into Mr. Anderson. So like it was all my fault.
Yeah, okay. When you said that, I thought you were referring to a different incident that I might not have seen.
Oh.
Okay, that explains it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I do want to say thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us. Obviously, it's going to be a big hit to your championship hopes, but you should be able to rebound next week. You've been, without a doubt, one of the top 3, if not top 2, strongest drivers thus far this season.
Yeah, I need to keep pushing and not get into incidents, and hopefully we'll get some points for these Ferrari fans out there. But at the moment, right now, we're just gonna have to settle with where we're at, and hopefully Jacob can, can get some good points today.
Alright, well, I do want to say once more, thanks for being willing to jump in and talk with us, as we are now down to only 10 drivers, as Jacob has had an accident coming into the pit lane that has taken him out of the event. So now everyone who is on track, if they can make it to the race in, they will walk out of here with points. And once again, another race with no Haas machines running at the end of it. So, needless to say, it's been a very interesting scenario. Zola, 42 seconds out from the back of the grid. It's not going to be until lap 35 that we go green flag here at Singapore. So this is going to be a very interesting and still long race. There will be no more DRS until the track is completely dry. Every overtake you see will be the virtue of capitalizing on the mistake of someone else ahead. But interestingly enough, at the front, 3 of the top 4 drivers at the moment have no time penalties against them. So that's something interesting to take in consideration. Haas drivers, only one has finished a race this entire season, and that was at the season opener at Montreal. No Haas machines have finished any other event this season. So you consider we have 4 races, that's 8 cars basically, and only one of those 8 have been able to finish a race. Granted, that was with a win, but only one of those 8 have been able to finish a race. It does not spell very well for the Haas drivers, and it almost seems like the challenge to drive a Haas, you're not even fighting for a championship, fighting for points. It's just going to be a matter of how long can you survive before the car inevitably dies. It seemed like there's just no way to bring those Haas's to the end of the race. Last season, it was the Mercedes cars that seemed to be really temperamental and almost impossible for the drivers to control. Now it's the Haas's, and it's really interesting because last season, you could maybe blame the drivers. Last year it was Beastian and Raptor, who drove them most of the time. And Flavor has pulled over on circuit. He has wing damage, and he's going to have to repair that damage coming to the green flag. So it goes from bad to worse for Flavor. But the good news is he's still on track. The bad news, though, is that we're just barely over halfway, and he's gotten wing damage again, and we're coming to the green flag. So he might be coming in to repair the damage, but he's going to be a good 15-20 seconds out from the field when they go green here. But yeah, this season it seems like it's the car, it's no longer the driver. There's no doubt it's not the drivers. The drivers who are in the Haas machines are without a doubt the fastest drivers that XRL has that are willing to run these races. It's just the Haas machines seem to be that temperamental and unseemly as they're coming to the green flag here. Mr. Anderson leads Davis John and a 10-car field. Anderson immediately opens up the gap, relatively well spaced throughout most of the grid as Flavor comes in the pits to repair the damage to his front wing. Everyone seems to be relatively well spaced. No one's really aggressive trying to make moves right now. Zola did get by Torpedo though in Sector 1, but other than that, everyone seems to be holding on to their position on track. Ollie by Collie Boy farther up. Neck and neck for that position. And although Collie Boy has the exit advantage, you can't really make an overtake here unless you made the mistake. And at this point, it was Collie Boy who made that mistake that let the Alfa Romeo sneak by. Now Stone Shuffle wants to see if he can find a way by the Mercedes up front. Anderson with a time penalty at the front of the field, and that's going to blow this entire race wide open because Davis John does not have time penalties against him right now. But Anderson is outpacing Davis John bit by bit on the circuit right now. And I say that as Davis John starts closing back in here in Sector 3. And another instant for Flavor as he spins around there in Sector 2. And the risk of going a lap down seems to be very much alive for him. And the track has changed again. Rain has stopped falling on the circuit. Now the track still seems to be damp for the moment, but rain has suddenly stopped falling. It was pouring just a few moments ago. Well, there we are. Now the rain kicks back in, but it's very, very light, and I'm already starting to see a dry line form on the racetrack. So this entire race just seems to be a matter of trying to chase the conditions right now as we go to ride on board Flavor for a bit. And it looks completely dry when I'm riding with him here, as he now gets a time penalty as he's not able to keep the car on the track. Riding on board Anderson on the exact opposite end of the racetrack. And yes, rain has stopped falling and the circuit now seems to be drying out very rapidly. And this could get very interesting because we may see the entire top 9 jump into the pits at the exact same time here. Oh, and Collie Boy's out! And another DNF and another full course safety car. This is great news for Flavor and for the entire field because if this track is going to dry out, they can adapt now as Collie Boy crashes out again in an XRL race. Flavor, drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, which is stupid because frankly at this point his only thing is that he needs to focus on just catching the back of the grid, but irregardless, it's not gone well for Flavor at all. Raptor now with the time penalty coming into the party right now is Collie Boy. Collie Boy, go ahead, include your audio. You were running in, like, the top 6 positions. What happened that took you out there? It's a shame. I'm gonna go ahead and be kind of a pot stirrer here. You were teammates with Zola in the McLaren for the last few races, and he was not very kind and private to you about your inability to finish races. But here you were out here today. You ran him down and were able to overtake him on the racetrack and fight directly with him. But you still weren't able to finish. Do you have a way to improve on that and actually start bringing home points in the future? Alright, so there is one more question I have to ask. When it went from dry to wet a few laps ago, it seemed like it, at least from us in the booth, it seemed like it almost happened snap of the fingers. What did it look like for you in the car? And then also, was the track starting to dry out when you had that accident that took you out of the race? Alright, well, it's a shame to see you out. Yeah, it's a shame to see you out this early once again. Do you think you can rebound at Japan? Alright, fair enough point. Well, unless you have anything else to say, I just want to say thank you for being willing to jump in again and talk with us about what happened today in the race for you. Alright. And now, as our new 3 leaders, Raptor, Zola, and Torpedo, are all coming into the pit lane to get rid of their intermediate tires, they're going to put on a set of slick rubber, I imagine. And this will put Mr. Anderson back in the lead. I'm not sure what the strategy is in the Aston Martin camp because they put on very worn medium tires on that machine. And they're doing the same with Torpedo. They're putting very worn medium tires on Torpedo's car as well. But James John has fresh mediums, Wilson has fresh mediums, Raptor has fresh mediums, Zola has fresh mediums, Ollie has worn mediums. Not as worn as Anderson or Torpedo's, but those mediums are worn. Stone Shuffle is on fresh softs. Flavor is finally coming into the pits to get rid of the intermediate tires. But the field is very badly spread out right now, especially regarding Flavor, but in general it's very much spread out. We might not see the field come to the green until lap 40, honestly. Carrying front wing damage to Flavor's car. He is back underway. But nearly 40 seconds out from Zola alone, let alone the lead group. When we go green, they might honestly go green with Flavor not even being considered for in the lead group. But Zola has now been dropped back to 8th, Stone Shuffle in 7th, Raptor in 6th. This is where things get interesting because when you look at time penalties, Flavor now has a drive-through penalty, as does Stone Shuffle also has a drive-through penalty, and Flavor also now has 5 seconds of penalty for crossing the white exiting pit lane. But James Khan now has no time penalties. He's the only one that doesn't. Everyone else has 3 to 6 seconds worth. So we're getting quickly a scenario where penalties might not matter. Everyone would be pretty much even on penalties by the way it's going. But Stone Shuffle and Flavor will both have drive-through penalties to serve when we finally get to the green flag. Stone Shuffle finally catching the back of the grid, and Zola will do it in a few seconds here. Alright, he's basically caught the back of the grid. But we are not going green flag yet, apparently. I still have to wonder what the strategy is in the Aston Martin camp to have put on that set of worn medium tires. Because the way that is, Anderson is guaranteed he has to pit one more time before this race is over. Those mediums are not going to last these remaining 23, 24 laps to the end of the race. The track has mostly dried out at this point again. It started wet, but we're only wet on the track for a few laps. And Zola is coming to the pit lane. They're putting on a set of very worn mediums on Zola's car. So I will go ahead and say this. There is an advantage to putting on tires that have had a few laps on them. Because those tires are what are called scuffed tires. And scuffed tires get up to operating temperature very quickly compared to everything else. The counterpoint, though, is that if they've already had more than half a dozen laps, or in the case of Zola, Anderson, and Torpedo, 10 to 14 laps on them, yeah, they get up to temperature quickly, but they don't have any pace compared to the people around you. So I have no idea what the strategy is for these guys who are running these very, very worn medium tires. If you don't have a set of mediums that can last you to the end, I would go ahead and throw on hards and just try to avoid pitting again for the rest of the race. Well, Zola is about 6 seconds out from the back of the grid. Now again, this needs to be noted. Stone Shuffle and Flavor will both be serving drive-through penalties. And Flavor also has a 5-second penalty that he has against him, so if he has to come in and repair damage or pit again, he'll be losing time there as well. But as it stands right now, it's realistically a 7-car battle between Zola, Raptor, Torpedo, Ollie, Mr. Worsen, Javis Don, and Mr. Anderson. Javis is in the best position because he does not have time penalties and he has relatively fresh mediums at the front of the grid. We're going to come green this time. Anderson is going to back the entire field up behind him and decide the pace coming to the green flag here. Alright, there we are. Mr. Anderson shoots out of a cannon. But Davis John is right behind him, ready to capitalize. A little bit of twitch from the Ferrari, but he's right there behind the Aston Martin. He looks to the inside, thinks better of it. Zola already making the move on Stone Shuffle back there for 7th. Circumstances have changed. Earlier, Anderson had the fresher tires compared to John and Worsen. Now, Anderson is on the worn tires and John and Worsen are on fresher rubber. How does that change the way this race goes? Farther back, Raptor closing in behind Torpedo, wants to find a way by the Alpine. Ollie is losing touch with the top 3 right now. Not by a massive amount, but he's starting to fall off. Raptor has pace down the straight, but not enough to do anything to Torpedo. At the front, Javis John still behind Anderson. Anderson needs to back John up enough and hope that John compromises himself and gets a time penalty. But the medium tires that John has would have to somehow last 23 laps in total. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I wouldn't feel super confident about the ability of the tires to do that. John right behind Anderson, but the car is sliding out there in the final corner and he loses a bit of time going down the main straight. Closes back in under braking. Raptor against Torpedo around the outside. A little bit of contact, but Torpedo is going to keep the car straight. He'll slip down to 6. Now Zola is going to come and try to muster his yards against him. Stone Shuffle and Flavor are in pit lane serving their drive-thru. At the front, John closes within 2/10 of Anderson at the end of the straight, but not enough to do anything to pass him. Orson still keeping pace with the top two at the moment. Not making moves on them, but he's keeping pace. Flavor overtakes Stone Shuffle at the end of the braking zone, although he compromises his line in the process, but he has the position. Zola now gets by Torpedo back there for 6th. But while those two were fighting, they've lost a lot of time to Raptor and the drivers farther up the grid. You can see John right there behind Anderson. DRS has been enabled. So for Davis John, he's looking for the move, but he's going to think better of it at the end of the straight. But he'll have DRS on the next one. Can Anderson do anything to defend against the Ferrari behind? John to the outside, neck and neck under braking. A little bit of contact. John has the inside line going into the next corner. Anderson can't do anything to fight back. John goes to the front now. And now Wilson has Anderson right in his grasp, and he's going to want to get by him quickly or run the risk of the Scuderia getting away from him. Stone Shuffle comes into the pits again to put on a set of slightly more medium tires. Already the gap between first and second over a second. I just realized how badly that sounded after I said that out loud. Wilson within a quarter of a second, but you can't really make overtakes here in Sector 3 unless the driver ahead goes off circuit in one of the runoff areas. Twitch causes Wilson to lose a bunch of his pace, and now Ollie and Raptor are closing in behind. Wilson will have DRS coming into the next straightaway. The gap between first and second is already extended to more than 2 seconds. Closing in with ERS and DRS assist. Wilson make a dive into braking. Yes, he does. To the inside, neck and neck, and easily slots in front of the car of Mr. Anderson, and now his teammate Ollie is there, ready to move up. And Raptor is there in 5th, ready to capitalize as well. The choice to be on the extremely worn tires have not worked out very well for Mr. Anderson. He has lost the lead, lost second. He's now in 3rd, and everyone behind him is still on fresher rubber. What is this camera here? Raptor putting pressure on Ollie, but Ollie has the DRS off of Anderson ahead. The gap between first and second is nearly 3 seconds flat. James John also has no time penalties against him right now, so this is looking very good for the remaining Ferrari driver in this race. James John with the fastest lap of the day thus far, 141.589. Ollie closing in on Mr. Anderson. He looks to the outside. Anderson doesn't really do anything to defend. He holds the position for now, but again, it will be another time that someone behind Anderson will have DRS and ERS on him on a straight, and it should be an easy overtake for Ollie. Raptor is still there. ready to capitalize, but this time Anderson had a good enough exit out of that corner that doesn't look like Ollie is close enough to make a move. He looks to the inside, thinks of the dive, but backs out of it at the last second. All that does is just bring the McLaren Raptor back into play. Anderson is actually keeping pace with Worsen ahead. Ooh, big twitch from Raptor there. Anderson staying within a second of Worsen in second, and he's using that as a DRS for defense. That time, Ollie and Raptor both had a really bad run at the end of that straightaway. Ollie falling off of Anderson just a bit. Ollie's tires are pretty well worn also. DRS in Anderson's favor. He'll use it to close in to about half a second off of Worsen. But his real focus is to try and get far enough away from Ollie that Ollie can't harm him in any way. Ollie's still trying to play defense against Raptor as Torpedo now comes into the pit lane. And they're likely going to take off the medium tires and throw on a set of fresh rubber to take him to the end of this race. Softs, so Torpedo thinks that the soft tires will be good enough to last him to the end. We're still 17 laps out from the end of 16 laps from the end of this race. But Torpedo thinks that you can go 17 laps apparently. It's a bold strategy, Pat. Let's see how it plays out. Anderson falling out of DRS range of Worsen, and Ollie is closing back in on him. Worsen with a big mistake there that let Anderson come with a good run for defense. Gap between first and second is now close to 6 seconds, and Worsen has got another time penalty as well. Anderson, another time penalty. He's trapped behind Worsen, and all these drivers are just giving each other time penalties. And that's just working out more and more in the favor of Jabez John. Unless John has an accident, it looks like this race is going to be his to lose now. Anderson more than a second out from Worsen, so now Ollie and Raptor will be able to take the fight to him directly. DRS assist, Ollie is already closing in, less than a quarter, less than a fifth, less than a tenth, as he goes to the outside. And around the outside, he's in position, dives deep under braking, sluts in front, and he will take the position from Anderson. So now it's all up to Raptor, and Raptor is on even fresher tires. So Raptor should be able to get by Anderson even quicker, I imagine. Jabez John now has set the fastest lap again. He's got nearly a 7-second gap on Mr. Worsen right now. Anderson just close enough to Ollie to maintain DRS defense against Raptor for the moment. But how much longer will it stay that way? Just enough that Anderson's able to hold off Raptor for a little bit longer. This is the most active battle on the racetrack right now, as Raptor's just set his fastest Sector 1 there in the draft of the Aston Martin. Make no mistake about it. He may be buried back there in 5th, but he is obviously one of the fastest drivers on the track right now. Anderson still just close enough to utilize DRS as a defense against the McLaren. Zola is running around in 6th right now, but he's way off pace, and he willingly came in. He put on a set of decent tires, and then put on a set of very worn tires, and he's been losing pace with the lead 5 ever since that decision. He's buried 5 seconds out from Raptor back there in 6th right now as a result. Anderson has lost DRS now on Ollie, so Raptor will have his best chance against him now. Now they go down the straight once more. This is Raptor's best chance to do it. Looks to the inside. Anderson, does he put any defense? Not at all. Again, Raptor fastest Sector 1 and will easily take the position. And he's got 1.7 seconds between himself and Ollie, so if he doesn't bottle these corners, he could be en route to our fastest personal lap of the race here. Speaking of which, the two Alfa Romeos have caught each other again. Wilson continues to fall off pace, and Ollie has closed back within DRS range of him. So we could see this battle for 2nd evolve a bit more before this race is over. 2nd through 5th, all relatively close to each other, consider everything. Although Anderson is now seriously dropping off pace. For Anderson, if I was in his position, I'd want to come in and throw on a set of soft tires in the next lap or two. Ollie within 1/3 of a second of his teammate. No move at the end of the main straight, but we've been seeing most of the moves today coming. And here we are, Anderson's made a stop, and we now know that Anderson can go 24 laps on a set of mediums. So we still have 13 laps left in this race. That means that for Jabez John, he would probably be able to go to the end on the set of tires he has, because everyone behind him is on tires that are just as old or older until you get back there to Anderson and Torpedo, and those two are so far out of contention, it's not going to matter. So it looks like Jabez John is going to walk off with this win, assuming he doesn't crash out. Right now, this here is the most active battle on circuit. Ollie versus Wilson, teammates vying for 2nd and 3rd. interestingly enough, in this battle, Ollie has tires that are 8 laps older than Worson's, and he's still maintaining relevance. He's not falling off at all. Now, granted, on a street circuit, it's not as bad because a lot of the corners, not all of them, but a lot of them are very slow 60 to 70 degree corners, so the aerodynamic wake isn't as extreme. But typically, if you're stuck in the aerodynamic wake of another car for any sustained period of time, it burns up the front tires and damages their ability to maintain grip. Ollie already has variable tires. He's been right in his teammates' aerodynamic wake for a while, but it's not really harmed him by any means. Gap between first and second is now up to 13 seconds right now. And I can't tell if that's, I think that's partially because A, Davis John is just that fast, but B, Worson is just completely falling apart as these tires get older and older. Because Ollie and Raptor are backed right up behind him, both trying to find a way by, but not able to capitalize! And Raptor just knocks Ollie right out of the circuit. That will likely be reviewed post-race. The good news for Ollie, though, is that there is no damage to the car. He'll be able to continue. But I can imagine there's going to be a lot of very, very angry drivers regarding that. Raptor will be a little bit angry that he bottled it under braking like that, and Ollie's going to be furious. This also means that Raptor is not in DRS range, and Ollie's coming into the pits now, so Ollie will likely throw on a set of soft tires to go to the end of the race. And he's retired. He's out of it. Well, I didn't see that coming, to say the least. As Anderson has now set the fastest lap by virtue of having those soft tires. The problem is, he's so far out of the lead right now, and the leader has no time penalties. He has no real recourse to finish better than 5th unless drivers farther up the road decide to start pitting. Zola will likely have to pit, but I think the top 3 can all make the tires they have last to the end of this race. So look at Raptor real quickly. I'm curious if there's any wing damage after that contact he had incurred with Ollie. I don't see any. That car's front wing still looks to be in one solid piece. Well, I say solid, but all Formula 1 wings flex under intense G-loading. One other thing to note, Davis John has actually brought down his pace just a little bit, as Lane Stone Shuffle maintain a gap, so Shuffle is at least not yet at the risk of going a lap down here. Raptor now nearly 3 seconds out from Worson, and at this point in this race, it seems like there are no battles for position left on the track. So as we look at time penalties, Wilson and Raptor both have 9 seconds each. Zola has 6 seconds. Anderson has 6 seconds. Flavor has 8. Torpedo has 3. The entire field very much spread out right now. We've been used to seeing Lowe be the strongest Ferrari driver in the prior races, but now Lowe crashes out, being caught out by the transition, the rain transition, and as his teammate Jay Bascan, that looks like he's going to bring home the victory for Ferrari today. We're going to go ahead, go silent, and ride on board for this next lap with your current race leader to see what his method is to circle this track here late in the event. that's a lap on board with your current race leader, Jay Baston. He has opened up a nearly 23-second gap on Mr. Worsen. And as Worsen continues to kind of fade through this day, it's looking more and more like we could see a potential rival for one, not the fastest, not the largest, but one of the larger gaps from first to second at the end of the race ever. Worsen has 9 seconds of penalty. Jabez Khan still has none. You add that together, that'd be a 32-second gap in Jabez's favor right now. This man here, Mr. Anderson, is taking advantage of the soft tires. He's caught Zola. The bad side for Anderson, though, is that his ERS is basically gone. Neck and neck down the straight. Is he going to commit? No, he backs out of it. Puts the power down lane on the ERS and the DRS. It's a drag race for the 4th position. Anderson's on the outside. Can he make it stick? He's still side by side, and he's by him. And Anderson filters himself back up into the 4th position now. And he's only 1.5 seconds off of Raptor. Forget that, he's already there on Raptor, and Raptor goes wide. Well, that was a very easy overtake on Anderson's part. He'll use DRS and ERS to try to open the gap on the McLaren a little bit more. So Anderson now in the top 3 positions, and he has fewer time penalties against him than the driver is directly in front and behind him. Zola looks for a move on his teammate down the inside. They'll make contact between the 2 McLarens, and Zola is by. Seems like the tires are starting to fade on Raptor. He's falling back to 5th now. One other driver to be concerned about is this man here, Stone Shuffle. He's at risk of going a lap down in the next lap or two. Oh, and your race leader, Davis John, is coming to the pits. And this is where things might get interesting. He'll likely throw on a set of soft tires to try and get fastest lap point to the race end. Where does Wilson and Anderson come out in relation to him? John is already exiting pit lane. Worsen has a head of steam going down the main straight. It's going to be close, but the thing for Davis John is that John has no time penalties. Worsen has 9 seconds worth. Worsen goes into the lead, but John will be in the overall lead once time penalties are factored in. Raptor comes into the pits now. He'll likely throw on a set of soft tires as well. John has no reason to stay behind Worsen for any period of time. He looks to the outside. Worsen makes no fight back. And with that, Davis John now goes back into the race lead and starts opening the gap again on Mr. Worsen. Great news for Stone Shuffle is that if he doesn't pit going to the end of this race, he has enough of a gap now that he doesn't have to worry. All right, coming into the party right now is XRL Ollie. Ollie, go ahead and include your audio. What happened that took you out of the race there? point, but you looked like you were one of the fastest people out there near the end of the race, and you had a great fight there with your teammate near the end. Alright, it's a shame to see that happen. Do you think you can rebound next week at Suzuka? Alright, do you think the driving standards are actually that bad? Alright, well, I appreciate your honesty, and we will miss you here in XRRL. Alright, well, Raptor, Torpedo having a little fight of their own for 6th and 7th, but Raptor with the fresh soft tires basically makes cheese out of the Alpine and goes right back up into 6th position. With 4 laps to go, Raptor is going to have to try and run down Flavor before race end. And Flavor, with another time penalty against him, it now turns the favor only 1 second in Flavor's advantage. Flavor 11 seconds, Raptor 12. This has been a horrible race for Flavor, but he could still walk out here with points if he just can make it to the end of this race. Anderson has gotten by Worsen. Jay Baston, fastest lap with a 1:39.5, so we're now looking at times that would be considered good in qualifying. And Raptor catch Flavor before this race is over. Already cut the gap down to about 3.3 seconds. Flavor on very worn medium tires right now. Tires that he anticipates will probably make last to the end of the event. Gap's now down to 2.5 seconds. Already down to 2 seconds, so it looks like Raptor is going to easily overtake Flavor, and he will come home 5th then, by the looks of it, just because of sheer pace advantage. Raptor 7/10 up of his prior fastest lap just in that sector alone. But he's caught behind the Red Bull in this Mickey Mouse section. Drag race. And an easy overtake. Raptor demolishes what was a 3.5 second lead in a single lap and goes right up to 5th without issue. That will be it. That's the last battle on the racetrack. Although Torpedo is still on circuit, he is 7.3 seconds out from Flavor and is not in a position to really start closing on him. But Raptor has just set the fastest Sector 1 for himself all day long. Ooh, big twitch there. Well, at this point in this race, the gaps just continue to get bigger and bigger. And one man who's not complaining about that at all is this one here at the front. Jabus John has fought through 2 bouts of rain, outlasted over half the field, including his teammate. And he's now hanging out there in the lead with a near 13-second advantage over Anderson. And that's not even counting time penalties as well. He just has about a lap and a half left until he wraps up the victory here at Singapore. White flag in the air for Jabus John. There's just 1 lap left in the event, and Raptor has had an accident, and the entire front wing has been ripped off his car. Pushed a little bit too hard there in Sector 2, and with that in mind, he is now at a very high risk of losing 5th place to Flavor. Because he's going to have to pit to put a new front wing on. So Flavor gets back into the 5th position. And Raptor also gets a time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So Raptor will fall all the way to 7th. Although he's far enough ahead of Stone Shuffle, they shouldn't have to worry about losing that position to him on the track. His problem is going to be on time penalties. He may run the risk of falling to 8th. 17 seconds worth of time penalties for Raptor. Stone Shuffle is 33 seconds behind him, but already beginning to close that gap. Stone Shuffle now within 10 seconds, 8 seconds, 5 seconds, 3, 1. Stone Shuffle is actually going to overtake Raptor on the circuit. So Raptor will finish dead last as Jabus John crosses the line with the victory. Raptor crashes out in turn 3, apparently. Did that happen? Yes, Raptor has crashed out on the last lap of the race. Now he will get 8th place points for finishing at least 90% of the event, but travesty when he should have been able to finish 5th. Mr. Anderson comes home 2nd. Mr. Worsen is going to come across the line in 3rd. Zola is going to come across the line in the 4th position. 5th is going to go to XRL Flavor. 6th will go to Torpedo. And 7th will go to Stone Shuffle. All right, and coming into the party right now are some of our highest finishers in this race. First up, I want to go ahead and talk with our 2nd place man, Mr. Anderson. Anderson, go ahead and include your audio. Going into this race, a bunch of drivers were talking about how they were anticipating that you could be the winner for today's race. Well, you didn't win, but you came home 2nd. And that, coupled with the win at Sochi, now the question is, could you be a dark horse pick for the championship this season?
No. I'll probably win it a few times. I know, like, last week was good, and then this week's obviously good. When I dropped into the mediums, and they started falling off, and I had to pit for softs, so I thought, oh, race over, but Zola had a broken wing, and that helped a lot, obviously. And then everything just fell into place after that. The softs became really good, and brought it back to P2. So I'm happy.
All right. Well, you are without a doubt one of the fastest people out there, but I do have to ask, on the second to last pit stop that you made, the one after the rain went away for the final time, you elected to come into the pits and put on extremely worn medium tires. What was the strategy behind that?
I don't know how the mediums were. I don't know how old they were, so
alright.
I just put them on. I thought mediums. I thought they'd be like maybe 11%, and they weren't. So yeah, that's why I dropped so far back, and then I had to put the softs on. But the softs saved me.
Alright, well, you made it work out in the end, coming back and fighting all the way up through the field on the softs at the very end. That was pretty impressive to watch. We've not gotten anywhere from Jabus John, but who looks like he's going to take points. Yeah, but yeah, John actually absolutely was in a league of his own pretty much all day. You seem to be the only person that could match him in pace throughout the day, but it seemed like strategy just didn't work out in your favor.
Yeah, he was hard to keep behind. He was always there, but yeah, as soon as he got away and I pitted, that was it. Done. Great drive.
Alright. Well, good job on your victory. Oh, well, not victory, but a second place position.
Yeah.
So now the question is, do you think you can replicate this at Suzuka next week?
Oh, is it Japan? Oh, I'm in the wall. I'm in the wall. Nah, I hate Japan. I'm in the wall. Trust me.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say a lot of you guys in this league are really, really stupid. You all really hate Japan, and that really, at least in my opinion, makes you all like sub 70 IQ mongrels.
I know it's a good track. I just hate to play it.
Fair enough. All right. But anyways, I do want to say thank you for being willing to jump in and talk with us here on your second place. I'm going to try one more time to get word from Jabus John, but I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in being able to actually talk with him. He may be one of the people who's a no mic person. But thanks again, Mr. Anderson, for talking with us. Again, 2 races in a row, talking about great results. And I, at least, would definitely like to see you do that and pull off another similar result next week.
I hope so, but we'll see. Could be in the wall. Probably in the wall.
Right. Well, yep, no word from Jabus John, so it looks like this is going to be it. Only 7 drivers running at the end of the race today, after Raptor has an accident on his final laps, had an accident with 2 laps to go, ripped off the entire front wing, pitted, put on a new front wing for one last lap, and then immediately crashed the car in turn 3 on what would be the final lap. So, a kind of an embarrassing moment from Raptor. We've not been able to get any word from him either, and we will go ahead and try real quickly here and get him in just to hear what happened from his perspective. But if he's not going to join from one invite, we're going to go ahead and close the party down right away, because this broadcast has gone on for more than 3 hours. This has been a very long race today.
All right, I'll catch you later.
Coming to the party. Thank you again, Mr. Anderson. All right, coming to the party right now is XRL Raptor. Well, Raptor, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is you walked out here with points while your biggest rival in the championship, XRLO, didn't. The bad news is you had a sure top 5 finish in the books and you wrecked the car twice in the last 2 laps. What in the world went on?
Over-aggression, plain and simple. I got greedy. There's no other way to say it. I got greedy.
Alright. Well, I can respect your honesty, but alright, there are 2 questions I do kind of have. So you came in, you threw on a new wing, threw on new tires, came out, and immediately wrecked the car in turn 3. What? How in the world does that happen? I know the tires may have been cold, but that seemed like ridiculous.
Well, that what I had put on was I had a scrubbed set of softs. That was my last set of softs that I had available. And I just coming into turn 3, I just got on the power too quick on the exit, and boom, there you go. Slam bam, thank you, ma'am.
Alright, final question, and I've asked this to a few other drivers today. The day started out rainy and then dried out in about 3 laps time. Then later on in the race, a little bit past halfway, all of a sudden the rain showed up and then vanished a few laps later. The transition from dry to wet and wet to dry, at least for us in the broadcasting booth, looked to be very sudden. Almost went from a totally bone dry track to absolutely soaked in about 30 seconds. What did it look like for you in the car?
It looked about the same, to be honest. But it's one of those situations where you have to be prepared for that contingency, and realize that you need to make immediate changes when the rain does come. What I had done when the rain first started falling, I immediately moved my differential a little bit higher to go ahead and lock the setup just a little bit to try to minimize any potential wheel spin while I went in to make the transition to the intermediate compound. Once that happened, I backed the diff back down, and the car seemed to kind of stabilize out a little bit.
All right, well, I do want to say thank you very much for being willing to jump in and talk with us post-race. I guess this is fair. I guess fair play is turnabout. Both of us ended up crashing out in our races today.
Indeed.
But not necessarily due to pure stupidity. Well,
Amen to that.
I wouldn't call overaggression pure stupidity. I know there are some people who would, but I would not call overaggression pure stupidity. I've been on both sides of that.
Well, the reality is even though it is still early in the season, when you're in the fight for the points, and you're sitting on top of the points standings, the mentality for me at least has become stay there as long as possible. I unfortunately, in pursuit of that goal again, got a little over aggressive, and I paid the price for it. So carrying that into next week, that's something I'm gonna have to.
All right, fair enough. So now the question is, do you think you can actually finish the race next week at Japan? Oh, party just died. Okay, cool. Well, in that case, I'm not going to keep dragging this on. I'm going to go ahead and close out the broadcast here. I've been your host for today's race, Insane Leader 13. I want to once again congratulate Jabus Jan and the Scuderia Ferrari team for bringing home a very strong victory at Singapore. Tomorrow, at 5 p.m. UK time, on the main channel will be the X1 race. On the alternate channel will be the X3 race, and I'll be covering that. It's been an interesting championship fight. All the drivers have had a long 3-week break, but they're finally getting back to racing. Then at 8 p.m. UK time on the main channel tomorrow will be the X2 race. Then next week, same time as usual, will be the Dev and XRRL race. Until then, I've been Insane Leader 13. I want to thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys tomorrow